So my name is Rebecca Smith. I'm from Sittingbourne, Kent. I just want to raise extra awareness around the amazing work that the hospice did for my dad. He loved being in the garden. Even if it was raining, he'd be in the garden doing something. If he wasn't in his garden, he'd be playing his guitar. He had a room in his house and it was just wall-to-wall guitars. He loved playing guitars. Whenever you would see Dad, he'd either be clambering or getting out of a big white work van with a high-vis on, covered in dust and cement and bits and pieces because he was a builder. And sort of just dashing in for a drink and something to eat and then dashing back out again for the next job. Yeah, typical Dad, making a joke out of everything. We went round and we was in the garden and it was summertime, so he had dried all these seeds out in a jar and he was sorting out all these seeds. And he said, you know, look, love, my results have come back and I've got liver cancer. And he said, you know, don't be upset, I'm not upset, I'm not scared. All of that, and then he was just sorting out his seeds on the table. My dad had really, really good days and then days where he'd be a completely different person, you know. It's almost like the good days, he lived it to the full and then it took it out of him the next day. But the good days, it was like he was doing a tour on MTV Cribs. You know, he was showing me around the place, he was showing me the garden. It's a bath, but it's like a hydrotherapy one, and it's got different lights and it plays music and you can pick the music it plays and plug your phone in. And he was showing me that and he said it's my jacuzzi and just having a laugh. As I went there more and more, it just felt really homely. It's really strange to describe. It felt really welcoming. All the staff were really friendly. There was nothing that they couldn't do more just to make you feel at home. It was like nothing was out of the question. And they had a little therapy dog that would come round to people, which my dad loved. He loved animals. Dogs, cats, he loved animals, so that was really nice. But all he kept saying, even when he was not quite with it, he was saying, you know, I'll make the wedding, I'll walk you down the aisle to Jess, and that was his goal, and that he wanted to do. And all the team of the hospice knew about it and knew all of that, and they just made everything possible so that he could go. They got him stable again, they got him up on his feet, just slowly but surely, with the right care, he got there and walked my sister down the aisle in Cornwall. And they even made it so that if he had a wobbly turn when we was in Cornwall, they'd contacted the local hospice to where she was getting married in Cornwall, so that if he had a turn, he could go straight there. And just that, to me, just the extra details of everything, they made it all possible. And he did, he walked her down the aisle, he stood up and gave a really great, funny speech, and said, give it up for the father of the bride at the end, and said, sorry, I mean the bride. Just, yeah, really, really did so well, and we're so pleased that he did that and that the hospice, you know, really did everything they could so that could happen. I am not a runner by any means. If someone ever told me that one day I'd be electing into a run, I probably would laugh. And running for me is, if you're running for your life. You're running because you're getting away from something. But I I'm so grateful to the hospice and the work that they've done and the care that they gave my dad, and I don't feel there's enough that I could do to ever pay it back, but this is something to challenge me, and to give back and to raise awareness and to raise money, because it is all charity. How you deliver this care, I think if I want everyone else to have this experience, then you've got to keep raising money and building awareness and sharing stories. So for me it's just a way to give back and say thank you, and just to challenge myself as well. I think I've managed a 5k before, so going into a 10k will be a challenge for me, but I'm just going to think of all that my dad went through and just keep pushing really. Even if I'm crawling at the end of the finish line, I know that I've done a good job and it's for a good cause.